What's up guys, Lvladen here, and today I'm coming at you with a video on the 11.1 realms. We're going to take a first look at how Ret is doing on the PTR for the new patch. I'm going to go over Hammer of Light changes, some of the PvP talent changes, and evaluating Divine Hammer. Alright, enjoy. Alright, so we are currently on the 11.0.7 live realms. I'm testing this out with the 4-set buff. I'm also going to try and reduce any variance in damage by removing my proc trinket, and I'm going to just have the on-use trinket here. And then also I do have Authority of Radiant Power, and I don't really have another weapon that I can test out, so I'm going to try and make sure that this proc does not go off. But other than that, the main modifiers that we're going to keep an eye on are Judgment, Greater Judgment, Blessing of Dawn, Holy Flames, Final Reckoning, the modifiers from Crusade, 6 stacks, and the 5% damage buff we're going to get from having the 4-set in PvP. So we're going to see how much Hammer of Light does right here. Alright, so let's do it. Judge, Blade of Justice, Final Reckoning, no Authority of Radiant Power yet. 2.7 million, no Authority of Radiant Power. 2.7 million, so that's pretty standard stuff. This is how hard it hits a PvP dummy. 2.7 mil. Alright, we're going to start with our PvP dummy test. Again, same exact gear that I just showed you all on retail. And also same rotation, the same talents. We're going to Judge, Blade of Justice, Final Reckoning, no Authority of Radiant Power, and boom, Hammer of Light. Hammer of Light on the PvP dummy hits for 1.6 million. So that's roughly 1.1 million less than it does on live. Concerning. All right, so, 1.6 mil, this is a number that you would commonly see in PvP, in like actual PvP. So I'm curious as to if they changed some of the ways that the dummy functions. Maybe they upped the versatility, or they made correct PvE or PvP modifiers on the dummy, but unfortunately, spoiler alert, that's actually not what happened. So let's jump ahead and I'll show you the PvP. I can't even talk. I'll show you the PvE dummy over here. All right, same setup here. Judge, Blade of Justice, Final Reckoning, no Authority yet, and Hammer of Light. 2.1 mil. 2.1 mil, no procs. All right, just verify this. Yep, 2.14 million damage on the Hammer of Light on the PvE training dummy right here. All right, let's go compare the numbers with 11.1. All right, I'm gonna Judge, Blade of Justice, Final Reckoning, Wake of Ashes, Hammer of Light. Hits for 1.2 million. 1.2 million. That is so unfortunate. So 1.2 million with the exact same conditions as 11.0.7, except now we're on 11.1. So whatever changes happened to Hammer of Light nerfed it significantly in both PvP and PvE. And so far we have no compensation changes. So I'm hoping it's a bug, but I think it is some sort of code that is limiting the top end of Hammer of Light damage, because if you use less modifiers, you're still hitting around the same number. And this is just from me doing a bunch of other testing off camera. All right, let's get into the rest of the video. All right, now that we have that depressing recording out of the way, let's talk about some of the potential positives for 11.1. So one change that I honestly can't tell if this is live or not, because I haven't been able to test against too many players like in Battlegrounds or whatever, that they're just not popping on the PTR, is the fact that Final Verdict and Pure Hammers are now going to target players rather than enemies, minions, miners. This is going to up our damage. I'm not quite sure by how much. It does look like to me, just by hitting dummies, that Empyrean Hammer damage is significantly higher than on retail or live rounds. But an issue I noticed is that it's actually potentially because of Divine Hammer. Now, Divine Hammer took a rework once again, and now it is a 1 minute cooldown, 3 holy power spender that creates an AoE hammer circle around you. It looks. I've never been a huge fan of what Divine Hammer looks like, but I guess it's kind of cool. Now, how this relates to Empyrean Hammer is, and actually, strangely enough, it works like this on retail as well, but now we can just take this because it deals decent damage. Every time Divine Hammer strikes an enemy, it drops an Empyrean Hammer. Now, unfortunately, I'm fairly certain that this is a bug. So if you notice right here, I'm just going to get in combat with this dummy, and then I'm going to push Divine Hammer. Watch my Light's Deliverance stacks. They're going up, and I'm not pushing any spenders. So I got 5 stacks of Light's Deliverance, and how many ticks did we get right here? We got 5 ticks of Divine Hammer. So it works. I mean, it's cool. And then you can extend this ability. So the more times that you are pushing a Final Verdict, the longer the Divine Hammers are going to spin, the more Empyrean Hammers fall, the faster we get our Light's Deliverance stacks to reset our Hammer of Light. Do I think this is intended? Probably not. So I wouldn't expect this to really stay. But if it was intended, then I do think Divine Purpose has a place in PvP. If for whatever reason the function of or that interaction disappears, then I don't think we'll ever play Divine Hammer. Divine Hammer definitely is an exclusive PvE ability. Otherwise, the damage is not that fantastic. And people can just kite and then it will fall off. I don't know. But currently, if that's a pretty cool interaction if it's intended. All right. Let's talk a bit about the PvP talents here. So as you can see, guys, we are lacking PvP talents now. Like, this is so sad. We have, what do we have to pick from? We have Blessing of Sanctuary, which we pretty much never drop. We have a situational Blessing of Spell Warding. And then a situational Spellbreaker. Like, I guess we could, my default talents would be something like this, like Sanctuary, Searing Glare, Spellbreaker, but I don't always run Eye for an Eye. In which case, maybe Luminescence is okay. I feel like Luminescence is such a boring passive. I like when PvP talents are a little bit more interactive. So for example, Luminescence in the previous iteration, it was a boring passive, but it actually functioned where it gave pretty much in 3v3 arena, it gave everyone a total of 60% damage and healing. That's not bad. Whereas this, you're relying on taking Lightbearer. I don't always take Lightbearer. There are some 2v2 scenarios, some BG scenarios where I'm not playing Lightbearer. So this feels like an exclusive 3v3 solo shuffle PvP talent. I would much rather see something along the lines of Ret getting in opposition to Mortal Strike. So one thing that people have always said is, oh, I want Ret Paladin to have Mortal Strike. And to be fair, I feel like either every class should have a Mortal Strike or no one should have a Mortal Strike, and they just balance healing around that. But since Ret does not have a Mortal Strike, what if we got the inverse? What if we got like a healing buff, such as Inspired Guard, but for our teammates? So what if we reworked Luminescence into being like, I don't know, when you flash heal, you apply a buff. You could make it dispellable. I don't know, to a friendly player that increased their healing taken by 15% or something like that. Because right now, like historically, my favorite arena bracket has always been 2s, and right now, Ret is pretty capped in 2s. 2s is very cookie cutter to what classes can be successfully played in there, and it sucks playing a Ret in 2v2 arena. I don't think that would be the end all be all, but I think it would be more interesting than making Lightbearer heal a tiny bit more. So yeah, I mean, this could potentially be strong too. It's just not something that excites me. Shining Revelation also does not excite me, and I'm going to boycott this talent by never even testing it. It's just, no, it's not it. And I guess to elaborate on this further is WoW PvP is very scripted, And when you make it to the point where you can start predicting where enemies are going to be in stealth, when they're going to open and whatnot, I mean, this becomes even more obsolete. But to backtrack even further, if you bubble for stealth vision on a rogue, such as a map on Deepwind Gorge, and you click them and you see them and they're walking towards you, you then no longer have bubble to stop their cap. So even in scenarios where you think that this might be good, it's still not good. Ultimate Retribution is another talent that I'd rather just see go. There's no point in having this in the game either. And I want Aura Reckoning back. If Aura Reckoning doesn't come back, guys, our consistent damage is going to immensely suffer. Now, I don't think Herald of the Sun will be playable after Aura Reckoning deletes itself after it goes away. And the main reasoning is, you don't really have a lot of bursts, so you rely more on consistent pressure as Herald of the Sun, and losing a way to maintain your Crusade stacks in addition to a Dawnlight proc is very detrimental to Herald of the Sun, which, by the way, Herald of the Sun already is not the most frequently played ret spec right now. Not saying Templar is like that much better, but Herald of the Sun is already not that great. But yeah, I'd much rather see some more changes to our PvP talents, because I think we now have some of the worst PvP talents in the game, outside of Blessing of Sanctuary, which is always going to be taken, and Spell Warding, which is super situational. I think some interesting talents that Ret could end up getting for PvP talents would be something along the lines of like maybe, we get a physical Hammer of Justice, except now it only lasts for 4 seconds or something like that. I think that could be an interesting situational talent. We could pick up Steed of Glory from Protection, so adding a knockback to our Steed, or some sort of freedom immunity on Steed. Even though Steed of Glory is a thing, you just still can't really take this because you need freedom in PvP. Maybe something to do with adding a slow. Like, I would love if we had just a regular 50% slow like most other classes. Throughout the history of Ret, it's been, kind of in and out with slows. Way back in the day, Ret didn't have a slow, and it could only movement speed cap people. So that means like you couldn't move past normal movement speed, even if you had sprint or whatever. And then as the game modernized, Ret got a slow, and it just had a slow forever. And eventually it had a pretty decent slow in the form of Blade of Justice, Hand of Hindrance slow. And then we had iterations where Hand of Hindrance was just a 30-second cooldown, really weird slow, where it was like a Chains of Ice with a 30-second cooldown. I was definitely not a fan of that version. Maybe even somehow bringing back seals in the PvP talent. So like, I don't know, something like what Disc Priest has with Inner Light and Inner Shadow. We could have like a seal with a slow, or a seal with a damage increase. When you swap it, it's a healing increase. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas because our PvP talents are so sad. They're so sad. This is another talent, spreading the word. Like, spreading the word, you don't need this talent, but honestly we might end up playing it because we just don't really have anything else that fits. Hallowed Ground, another talent that why can't we use this? Missing PvP talent? I don't know what's going on with this. Like, maybe we need Consecrated Ground to take this. Maybe this is a bug. I don't know. But because we don't really have Consecration anymore, this is kind of an obsolete talent too. So yeah, our PvP talents suck. I really hope they get reworked very soon. And as for all the other changes to Ret on the 11.0 PTR, I'm a little I'm very underwhelmed. We have Hammer of Light nerfs. We have Aura of Reckoning going away. When I play my other less geared classes on the PTR, they're doing way more damage. So I do think we are actually pretty undertuned in terms of consistent and burst damage right now. Like, my Frost DK's Remorseless Winter is ticking for like 2 million. 2 million Remorseless Winter ticks with the new PvP talent, which obviously that's gotta get nerfed. But Yeah, I mean, Enhanced is doing crazy damage. Warrior still doing crazy damage. I don't know. Ret just feels like it's falling by the wayside right now. So I hope to see some changes, and I'll keep you guys posted as we dive deeper into the PTR and test out some other builds. And here's to hoping we get some changes. All right, see you all next time. Peace.